We've all experienced moments in life where everything feels stagnant. You're sitting at your desk, scrolling through emails, knowing deep down that something needs to change, yet feeling like you're trapped by your circumstances. Maybe it's a job that no longer excites you, a relationship that feels unfulfilling, or an internal battle with your emotions that feels overwhelming. It's not that you don't have options, on some level that you do, but when you're in the thick of it, those choices seem distant, and the weight of life's circumstances feels like too much to carry. So, how do we navigate that? How do we tap into the freedom that seems just out of reach when the daily grind keeps pulling us down? Let's take a moment to redefine freedom. So often we equate freedom with external factors, the ability to quit our job, move to a new city, or leave a difficult situation. We imagine that freedom means doing whatever we want, whenever we want. But is that really the essence of freedom? True freedom, the kind that transcends our circumstances, isn't about having no restrictions. In fact, external freedom in its purest form is often an illusion. Even when we're in a situation where we feel like we have no control, where everything seems dictated by external forces, whether it's a demanding job, financial stress, or obligations to family, we still possess the one thing that can never be taken away, our internal freedom. Many of us live with the belief that once we change our external circumstances, once we find the perfect job, the ideal partner, or the dream lifestyle, we'll finally feel free. But the truth is, no matter what environment we find ourselves in, there will always be limitations. There will always be things we can't control or situations that feel confining. Think about it. Even if you achieve the freedom you've been longing for, it won't take long before you begin to focus on what's missing. It's human nature to focus on lack, to zero in on the things we can't do. We may long for freedom from responsibilities, from obligations, or from the pressures of everyday life. But the reality is external freedom is fleeting. No matter how perfect things seem on the outside, there will always be something that feels just out of reach. And so we begin to realize that freedom is not something that can be obtained from outside of ourselves. It's something that must be cultivated from within. Have you ever noticed how two people can be in the same exact situation but have entirely different experiences of it? One person might feel trapped while the other feels completely free. It all comes down to perception. Freedom, at its core, is about how we see the world, how we experience the world, and how we choose to engage with the world. When we shift our perspective from focusing on what we can't do to what we can do, something profound happens. We begin to experience a sense of liberation, a sense of possibility. We stop being victims of our circumstances and start seeing ourselves as active participants in our own lives. At the heart of this shift is the concept of choice. It's easy to forget that almost everything we do today, tomorrow, and the next day is the result of choices we've made, whether consciously or unconsciously. Even in the situations where we feel stuck or powerless, we still have choices. We may not be able to control the external conditions of our lives, but we can always control how we respond to them. And in that response lies an incredible amount of freedom. When we realize that we always have choices, no matter how small, we begin to reclaim our power. Even in the most difficult circumstances, we have the choice to decide how we want to show up, how we want to feel, and how we want to move forward. It's so easy to feel like life is happening to us, that we're at the mercy of external forces beyond our control. But the truth is, we are making choices every day, whether we recognize it or not. We are choosing how to react, how to engage with our circumstances, and how to move through the challenges that life throws our way. Take a moment and think about a situation where you feel stuck. Maybe it's your job, your relationships, or even your own internal state. Now, instead of seeing yourself as trapped, try to recognize the choices that are available to you. You might choose to stay in your job, but that's still a choice. You might choose to remain in a relationship, but again, that's a choice. You have the power to choose how you show up, how you respond, and how you move forward. Now, let's take the example of a job that no longer fulfills you. It's easy to feel like you have no choice but to stay in that job because you have bills to pay, obligations to meet, or a fear of the unknown. But even in that situation, you are choosing to stay. And when you recognize that it's your choice, the entire experience changes. When you tell yourself, I am choosing to stay here, it shifts from feeling like something is being done to you to something you're actively engaging in. And from that space, new possibilities open up. You might choose to leave the job, or you might choose to make the best of it. You might choose to pursue new opportunities, educate yourself, or find ways to make a difference in your current situation. The point is, the choice is yours, and in that choice, there's freedom. Many of us carry the weight of responsibilities, family, financial obligations, commitments we've made, and it can feel overwhelming. We might think, I have no choice but to bear this burden. But even here, we have a choice. We can choose how we engage with those responsibilities, how we show up for them, and how we carry them. It's not about denying the reality of the situation or pretending that the burden doesn't exist. It's about recognizing that we always have a choice in how we respond to it. We can choose to carry the burden with resentment, or we can choose to carry it with grace. We can choose to see it as something that is weighing us down, or we can choose to see it as an opportunity for growth. Ultimately, true freedom comes from the choices we make on the inside. While we can't always control what happens around us, we can always control how we respond to it. We can choose our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. We can choose to see the best in a situation, or we can choose to focus on the worst. We can choose to be optimistic, or we can choose to be pessimistic. These internal choices shape our experience of life far more than external circumstances ever could. Think about the last time you faced a difficult situation. How did you respond? What choices did you make in terms of your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions? Could you have made different choices? And if so, how might those choices have changed your experience? So often we live in mental prisons created by the stories we tell ourselves. I'm not good enough. It's too late for me. I'm stuck here. These stories keep us trapped in a cycle of limitation where we feel powerless to make changes in our lives. But the truth is, these stories are just that, stories. And like any story, they can be rewritten. When we remind ourselves that we have a choice, we begin to see new possibilities. We stop telling ourselves the same limiting narratives and start to explore what else might be true. We begin to recognize that we are the authors of our own lives, and that with each new day, we have the opportunity to write a new chapter. Freedom isn't something that just happens. It's something we cultivate over time. It requires training, practice, and a willingness to engage with life in a new way. We often think that our thoughts and feelings happen to us, that we have no control over them. But with practice, we can learn to direct our thoughts, manage our emotions, and choose our actions more consciously. Training the mind for freedom is about becoming aware of the choices we make in each moment. It's about recognizing when we are falling into old patterns and choosing to create new ones. It's about developing the ability to shift our focus from what's wrong to what's possible. And in doing so, opening up new avenues of freedom. Throughout history, there are countless examples of individuals who found inner freedom in the most challenging of situations. Think of those who endured concentration camps or unjust imprisonment. Even in situations where every external freedom was taken away, they found a way to cultivate freedom within. These individuals made choices about how they would think, how they would feel, and how they would respond to their circumstances. And in making those choices, they accessed a level of freedom that could never be touched by external conditions. Their stories remind us that true freedom is not about what happens to us, but how we choose to engage with what happens. So often we fall into the illusion that we are trapped by our circumstances. Whether it's a financial situation, a career path, or a relationship, we feel like we have no choice but to stay where we are. But when we take a step back and recognize the choices that led us to where we are today, we also begin to see the choices that can lead us elsewhere. We are never as trapped as we think we are. There are always options, always possibilities, always opportunities for change. It's just a matter of shifting our perspective and recognizing the power we have to choose. Freedom and responsibility are two sides of the same coin. When we accept responsibility for our choices, both past and present, we open the door to greater freedom. It's easy to blame external factors for our situation, to feel like life is happening to us. But true empowerment comes from acknowledging that we are the ones making the choices. When we take ownership of our decisions, we reclaim our power. We begin to see that we have the ability to shape our lives, to create new possibilities, and to move forward in a way that aligns with our deepest values. One of the biggest things that holds people back from embracing their freedom is the fear of making the wrong choice. What if we choose to leave the job, but it doesn't work out? What if we choose to pursue a new path, but it leads to failure? These fears can paralyze us, keeping us stuck in situations that no longer serve us. But the truth is, there's no such thing as a wrong choice. Every decision we make teaches us something, moves us forward, and helps us grow. Even if a choice doesn't lead to the outcome we were hoping for, it's still an opportunity to learn, to evolve, and to move closer to the life we want to create. When we let go of the fear of getting it wrong, we free ourselves to explore what's possible. We give ourselves permission to take risks, to try new things, and to make decisions that align with our true desires. And in doing so, we begin to experience a deeper sense of freedom. Many of us are held captive by our past. We carry guilt, shame, and regret for things we've done, choices we've made, or opportunities we've missed. But holding on to the past only limits our ability to make new choices in the present. True freedom comes when we accept what has happened, learn from it, and choose to move forward. The past does not define us. Our choices in the present do. Each day is a new opportunity to create a different future, to make new choices, and to step into a new level of freedom. It's never too late to reinvent yourself, no matter how old you are, how long you've been in a certain situation, or how deep your patterns run. There is always room for change. The belief that it's too late is just another story we tell ourselves, and like all stories, it can be rewritten. You are not defined by your past. You are defined by the choices you make in the present. So give yourself permission to reinvent yourself. Give yourself permission to explore new possibilities, to pursue new dreams, and to create a life that aligns with who you truly are. Many people feel restricted by their financial situation. They believe their lack of money limits their choices and keeps them stuck in a cycle of survival. But financial freedom is less about how much money you have and more about how you manage it. Financial freedom comes when we make conscious choices with our resources, rather than feeling trapped by them. It's about recognizing that we have the power to create a new relationship with money, to make different choices about how we spend, save, and invest, and to take ownership of our financial future. When we take responsibility for our past financial decisions, we free ourselves to make better choices moving forward. We stop feeling like victims of our circumstances and start feeling empowered to create a new reality. While it may seem counterintuitive, freedom often comes through discipline. When we make deliberate choices about how we spend our time, energy, and resources, we create a life that aligns with our values. Discipline isn't about restriction, it's about directing our focus toward what truly matters. When we live with intention, we experience a deeper sense of freedom. We stop being pulled in a million different directions and start living in alignment with what's most important to us. And in that alignment, we find a sense of peace, fulfillment, and freedom. Perfectionism is one of the greatest barriers to freedom. Many of us hold ourselves to impossible standards and beat ourselves up when we fall short. But freedom comes when we accept our imperfections and give ourselves permission to learn and grow. We don't have to have everything figured out to move forward. We just have to be willing to make new choices, to embrace our humanity, and to keep moving toward the life we want to create. At its core, freedom is about embracing possibility. It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose in every moment and that our choices create our reality. When we stop seeing ourselves as victims of our circumstances and start seeing ourselves as creators of our experience, we open up a world of possibility. Life becomes an adventure full of potential rather than a series of limitations. We begin to see that anything is possible when we align our choices with our deepest desires and values. And in that alignment, we experience true freedom. Many people chase external success, believing that once they achieve it, they will finally feel free. But true freedom doesn't come from external accomplishments. It comes from aligning our internal world with our external actions. When we live in alignment with our values, our choices naturally reflect what's most important to us. We stop being driven by external expectations and start living from a place of inner truth. And in that alignment, we experience a deeper sense of fulfillment and freedom. Freedom is not something we achieve once and for all. It's a journey that unfolds with each choice we make. Every day, we have the opportunity to cultivate more freedom in our lives by making conscious choices about how we think, feel, and act. It's not about reaching a point where everything is perfect. It's about embracing the power we have in each moment to create the life we want. Freedom is not a destination. It's a way of being. In the end, freedom is about choice. It's about recognizing that no matter what your circumstances are, you always have the power to choose how you engage with life. You can choose your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. You can choose to see possibilities where others see limitations. And in every choice, you have the power to shape your reality. The Internal Foundation series is designed to help you cultivate internal freedom, empowering you to make conscious choices that align with your true desires. Explore the art of inner mapping to deepen your understanding of how your thoughts and emotions shape your experience.